Hey everybody, and welcome to another one of my, I was going to say 30-second top tips, but it's not today, it's actually a review. So what are we doing today? Today, Fujifilm XH1. Okay, just going to do my first impressions review. What I like about it, its new size, its functionality, its new features, everything it's got built in there, and a couple of things I dislike about it as well. Yes, I know, a Fujifilm Ambassador disliking something. We're allowed to, okay? No camera's perfect. So the Fujifilm XH1, who's it for? Well, it's for photographers and videographers really, but we've got to remember this isn't a replacement for the X-T2. We're all aware of that already. But we do know that it comes with upgraded video functionality. So really, this one's going to be more beneficial with its updates for videographers. And it's Fujifilm's real first really good stab at film. Yes, the X-T2's got 4K and everything else, but the XH1 has got newer features in it, which makes it that little bit better. Okay, and just to let you know, I'm filming with the new Eterna film simulation, which I really, really love. So I'm filming this part on it, and then when I do a review and a camera review, I will revert back to the X-T2 because I've only got one XH1 at the moment. And I will then go to the X-T2 and do a bit of over camera stuff for you so you can see what I'm talking about. First off, size. It's a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's around 80 mils deeper, but let's break that down first. That 80 mils deeper is not the whole thing. You know, people that aren't into the Fuji systems think, oh, it's massive, it's so much bigger, it's this and it's that. I like Fuji films because they're small size. I get it, I really do. But it's not that much bigger. And to be fair, it's only really certain parts of it that are bigger. Fujifilm have given us as photographers and videographers what we've asked for. Now, a lot of people may not have asked for this. They're generally ones that moan quite a lot, all right? They're the whiners. But a lot of us, in a commercial world, for functionality, there's some certain things that some of us have asked for. One of those is a deeper finger grip. So they've given us that. Amazing. Thank you, Fujifilm. Other people were asking that the EVF was a little bit close to the body, and you get that old squash nose syndrome, especially if you've got one as long as mine, all right? So they've given us that as well. They've brought the EVF off the back of the body a little bit, which we love. I love that. Yes, it's a little bit bigger, a few millimeters here and there, and of course it's got the top display in it as well, the sub-monitor display, which is good for a whole host of reasons I'll go into in a minute. So overall, the body, when you look down at it from the top, compared next to the X-T2, it's just the deepness of the grip and the extension of the EVF that makes the majority of that 80mm difference. All right, it is still pretty small, guys. Still pretty small in general. I'm not fussing over it. People that are fussing over it, or even fussing over it, are generally the ones that haven't even picked it up yet. They're just reading the spec. Get it in your hands. It's really good. It's okay to be a little bit bigger in the right areas. Could say that about a lot of things, couldn't we? Okay, so I like it. I like that. It feels better in the hand. It's easier to hold one-handed. I know it's small and light, so that's neither here nor there. Weight, it's not really that much heavier. Okay, it's about the weight of an orange, I think. Thereabouts, the odd gram or two difference. Seriously, we're still not up to DSLR territory. Okay, remember this is Fujifilm's, the X-T2 and the XH1 is their high-end pro spec in their compact system cameras. So if you compare that to a pro spec Canon or a pro spec Nikon, it's still very small and it's still very, very light. But what else do I love about the XH1? The new Eterna film simulation. It's not actually that new because Fujifilm used to have it in the analog days, okay, in Cinefilm. But it's new for us as a film simulation in the Fujifilm systems digitally. It's a beautiful flat profile. This is being filmed on it right now. I've got no other adjustments in camera, straight out of camera. Okay. Other features now, we can change it to 1/48th of a second, okay, rather than a 50th. So we've got proper cinematic shutter speeds there, if you want to call it that, okay, which is really, really nice. I think we've all been wanting that for some time. So we've got that now. We've got 1/48. Okay, so we're getting the the more filmic settings in the camera for that. We've got the top display, the sub monitor as it's called in the menu, which you can customize, and you can customize it for when you switch to stills and customize it for when you switch to film. So when you turn your switch on your top dial round and you go from stills to film, the top display will change with you. So that's brilliant because you can put the information in there that's relative to what you're shooting at that time, and it means you can look at it without having to look inside the camera. And if you've got silent filming on, which I'll go through in a moment, it means you don't have to touch any of your dials either to change functionality. So it gives you a live feedback of information of what you're recording on, or even when your camera's off, it'll still show you some of that. F-log. Okay, Fujifilm's log profile, flat profile. We've got that built in now. Before it was only, you could only use it if you're recording to an external recorder. But Fujifilm now have switched that on, so we've got that internally. Brilliant if you want that. So if you want to do a lot of color grading and a lot of post-production for effect, you've got F-log, that super flat profile to give you more dynamic range out of your shot. I'm liking the Eterna. I'm really, really liking that. So that's good. We've also now got a bigger and more dedicated film menu, much bigger than the XT2, which is awesome. A lot of new features in there for the mics and everything. There's just so much in there, which we'll go through as well. It's got a brand new shutter mechanism, and it is so light. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's absolutely beautiful. You don't have to press down anymore, you know, so just touch it, just very, very, very soft and light. It does take about 5 or 10 minutes, and occasionally I have still fired off a shot when I haven't meant to, but it's okay. It's okay. Getting the hang of it now. But I like it a lot. I like that it's so delicate and so responsive. That's the best thing. Now, a lot of people have been complaining that they wish that switching from stills to film was a lot easier because it's a 3-step, 4-step process, and they're changing this and changing that, and then they've got to change their still setup to then set their aperture and exposure to then take a shot from when they flick to film, etc., etc. There is an easy way of doing it. Okay, you can go into the menu and you can turn on the silent mode, which then enables your rear LCD, which is touchscreen, by the way. Forgot to mention that, touchscreen on the XH1, but it's still good. But it comes into its element, especially when you're filming. Now, if you set that up, silent operation mode, you can, once you flick between your film dial to your stills, whatever you had your camera set on for stills before, it will immediately be back to that. So if you're at 125th of a second at f5.6 at ISO 200, as soon as you turn your command dial back to stills, it still sits on the same. But the good thing is, when you go to film mode, you then go in through silent through your LCD, and you set all your film operation from there. So your ISO, your shutter speed, your 1/48th, your aperture, your film simulation or F-log, you set it all from your touch screen. And it only changes from there. So if I then turn my aperture ring from 5.6 to f11, it doesn't change from what I've set it in my film mode. My top dials, I can turn them at 200 ISO to 800. It doesn't affect my film at all. And I can change my shutter speed dial. That doesn't affect my film at all either. So your touch screen sets your film, and then as soon as I switch my command dial back to stills mode, whatever is on my camera remains on my camera. So I just turn my dial from film to stills and it works. So I don't see the problem there. But let's face it, if you're doing a run and gun film with the XH1 and you're in film mode, and then all of a sudden you want to take a still shot, are you really going to take a still shot with it on your shoulder rig? Or are you going to take it off and use it as a stills camera? And surely, if you're going to do that, then you're going to set up your correct exposure for whatever you're shooting in stills anyway, aren't you? Baffles me that a little bit. Don't really get the mentality behind people moaning about that. You know, if I set my camera at 125th 5.6 at ISO 200, I switch to film mode and I record at 1/48th of a second, you know, and turn a film log. As soon as I switch that command dial back to stills, my settings are still there from what I set it on previously. Okay, if you don't want to have to set all of that, then just put it in a priority mode. Let the camera do the work for you. So yeah, there's a couple of things about it I dislike. I won't say I don't like, I just dislike. But I think as it's Fujifilm's first real effort into the film side of things, I think they've done a damn good job. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned before I get into my dislikes is obviously the inbuilt image stabilization. Now, that's a massive thing. Okay, and depending on what lens you have, it can give you up to, I think it's about 5.5 stops. Okay, which is massive, really. It's a 5-axis stabilization system in there. I mean, is it better than some gimbals, you know, that are only 3-axis? And it will work with all Fujifilm lenses, whether they're OIS or non-OIS as well. So that's really cool. So you can do a lot of handheld stuff. Remember, you can't always rely fully on an image stabilization system. You've still got to be the considerate operator in how you handle your kit in the first place. It's not going to eradicate everything if you're being a poor operator. So it still comes down to skill to get the best footage and the smoothest footage. These are just there to support you and help you get through that. But don't think it's going to, you know, eradicate your bad workmanship, because it probably won't. All right, and then you'll just probably moan about it anyway, or somebody will. They probably already have, but who cares? So yeah, image stabilization. Now we know the inside's pretty much 24 megapixels, the same as the X-T2. It's not designed as a replacement, it's designed as another system beside it, and it's probably aimed more at videographers, like I've already said. But as a stills camera, it's damn beautiful to use, and the focusing is a little bit snappier as well, which I love. Okay, absolutely love that. Now, of course, with the image stabilization in there, it means if you're a still shooter, then it's going to help you out a little bit if you're doing slower shutter speed stuff. You know, if you're in ambient light, I did some trials on it the other day, and I was getting down to like about a 16th and an 1/8 of a second handheld, and the damn thing was still sharp. So there's no way you'd do that really without an image stabilization system in there at that shutter speed. So that's awesome. Another little bonus for us. Maybe we should be looking at more of the plus points of these systems rather than the, you know, negative points, because we all know no one system is perfect. So for me, it's good. Yeah. I mean, run and gun, in a cage, on a rig, however you want to use it. If you've got it on a tripod anyway and you're doing some static filming, then, you know, switching between stills is not really going to be an issue, because you're not really going to be doing that anyway, are you? So again, that whole switching between the two just gets thrown out the window there. Crazy people. A couple of things I dislike. Okay, one thing, it's not a massive thing, although it is, it's 8-bit. Okay, internal it's 8-bit. Now I know Fujifilm have said that that's something to do with the sensor and it might be a restriction, but we know sometimes they do pull some magic out of the bag with firmware upgrades. Not sure if that can be one of them on the X-Trans sensor, but 8-bit. 8-bit, 10-bit would be nice. Would be nice to have just that little bit extra. I think the biggest thing for me, because the XH1 takes a vertical grip like the X-T2, gives you that extra 3 battery support and everything else, there's no headphone jack in the XH1 body. Okay, it's the same as the X-T2, the headphone jack is in the grip. Now, for a lot of people that like to keep the system small, especially if they're doing run and gun, then that poses a problem, and you need the grip on there to put the headphones in. Okay, and then you get back to a bigger size then, and if you've got it in a cage, then you need to change your cage, etc., etc. So that can be a little bit of a pain, and I do wish that Fujifilm would bring the headphone socket into body on the next one. Fingers crossed. Let's see. And the other thing, of course, without the grip, it means you've only got a 15-minute record time in 4K, which is a bit limiting, all right? We know it's the 30 minutes is standard. When you put the grip back on, it's 30 minutes. It would be nice if that firmware upgrade, for whatever reason, if there's a firmware upgrade, that they could eradicate that 15-minute record time and make it a 30-minute record time. That would be another awesome feature, and I know it would please a lot of people. That really is the only three things, 3 or 4, no, it was 3 things, wasn't it? Yeah, that I've really got to complain about. It's a beautiful camera to shoot stills with. I'm a commercial fashion, beauty and advertising photographer, and more of my work is stills than film, but I love the XH1 because the IBIS that's in there, the new new video menu systems, the Eterna film simulation profile, the new shutter button, the top sub monitor display. All these things are making the camera beautiful to use. It would be nice if Fujifilm could improve the high ISO or the low light performance for film mode just a little bit, because it does get knocked off its spot a little bit. But then it's APS-C sensor against full frame. It's always going to be a battle, and it's never going to be an even fight. Okay, remember that. They are slightly different sensors and different systems, and they will have you know, different qualities in recording low light. The same as video cameras. But apart from that, the damn thing is fun, and it's so quiet. The shutter is so damn quiet. It's quieter than the X-T2 by a long shot, and I thought that was quiet. But overall, I like it. So I'll try and give you some visuals of the XH1 now, and I might just do a little bit of voiceover for you, going through some of the menus so that you can see. I think the biggest thing for me is just switching between stills and video to show you what I mean, and I don't see it an issue personally. So it's telling me that I'm in 4K, I'm in 23.98p, it tells me how much time I've got left, what ISO I'm filming at, what my white balance setting is, and also my film simulation mode, which is a turner down in this corner. And that is customizable, so you can change that for whatever you want yourself. But that's a really good thing about it. And if I flick around quickly from here and I come back to stills, you'll see that my display changes back to what my camera is currently set at, which on the dials is 125th of a second at f4 on my aperture ring on my lens, and my ISO dial at 200. It just switches back and forth, and now I can carry on shooting. It's telling me that I'm in Acros red mode, so it's telling me what my film simulation is. So that's a great thing. I don't see the fuss about it, what people are making, but never mind. Let's go over and have a look at the silent operation mode, which is all touch for your film settings when you're in film mode. Okay, so now we're just having a look at the back of the LCD, and I've got it in silent operation mode, so it doesn't matter what I change my dials to on top of my camera, it will not change my film settings. And the way I change that is through the little set menu here on the side of the screen. So if I touch that, it brings up my shutter speed and all my movie silent control functions. Now you can either scroll with your finger like this and scroll through each one. And if you want to select from there, you just tap it and it goes into your shutter speed and your ISO I've just tapped, and you can scroll and select from there. You can also use your D-pad to change those, or your joystick to change those. And once you've set it, just touch a shutter button and it comes back. But that's the best way to do it. And that way it doesn't affect any of your stills settings that you've previously got set on your camera, your dials, or anything, your top command dials, nothing. So movie silent control on here only affects your movie settings, and I can turn my top dial on my aperture or my ISO here, and you'll notice it does nothing whatsoever. Okay, and if I come back to my film mode, if I put the display on for you, you notice I'm at a 48th shutter speed, f5.6, ISO 400. Now my current ISO dial is on 200. I'll now whack it up to 800, 1000, 3200, but you'll see it does nothing at all to my movie settings. So it does retain settings, and they are separate functions, which is absolutely great. So that's just showing you the usability really of the movie silent control on here, and how you can flip between movie and stills just with this top command dial switch, and it doesn't change any of your settings at all. But I hope you've enjoyed it at the moment. Oh, and of course, forgot to add that on. Fujifilm's Cine lenses are out now with an XF mount. So it means that we can take their new Cine lenses and mount on here. So anybody that's serious with film, that are going to use something as small as this, as the XH1 as a body to record in 4K, you can use the Cine lenses on here now, which is absolutely awesome because they are superb. And if you haven't seen them, go and have a look at them. Oh, forgot to mention on the film side, yeah, in full HD, you've got like up to 120 frames per second. So good slow-mo action. I think that's me done for today. That's my first impressions, my little review. I like it. It's definitely staying in my bag. I will use it as much for stills as well as as much as I will be playing with it with more film. And I'm loving the Eterna profile, and I hope on a firmware release, a firmware upgrade, they give us that in the XT2 as well, because that still sits in my bag as well. But go and have a look. Go and have a look and go and try it. Okay, go and try it and get hands-on, but get used to the system first before you start complaining about things. Okay, it's not a full-blown video camera, we know that, but as a stills with video hybrid, it's absolutely brilliant. I like it a lot. So yeah, go and have a look. And remember, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Tick the little bell for more notifications for more films coming up. And I will have another 30-second top tips coming soon. So thanks for joining me. Hope you've had fun. I'll smile more in the next one. I always say that. And I will see you guys again soon. Thanks. Take care. Bye.